Now there are some things that I need to explain how to configure the database. Okay. So I mentioned to you, if you want to configure the database, so you can go to the setting and then install the appropriate database bindings and change the following key. So the default items should match with your database connection. I think now Django can connect to any kind of database. Now we are using the SQLite. So if you want to use the MySQL, yeah, you can just call the MySQL. If you want to use the PostgreSQL, yeah, you can connect to the PostgreSQL. If you want to connect to Oracle, then they also have the connector or binding to the Oracle. So for example, if you look at the settings, so Django, uh, Django.db.backend, okay, but yeah, there are some libraries already here. For example, the MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, SQLite. So there are so many databases these days, maybe like MariaDB or something else. Then you need to install. So the Django library does not provide all the database access in the world. So if you want to specify your own database, like MongoDB, so it means you need to install and then connect manually. Okay, so the name is the name of your database. If you are using SQLite, the database will be on your computer. In that case, the name should be the full absolute path, including the file name. Okay, I already mentioned to you about the base directory. And also with the install app. So we will look at those in detail, maybe not all, like admin. So it means you are going to deal with the admin. Authentication. So you can use this auth to check the user and password name. You can use the content types. Session. So whenever you enter the website, there will be session. And if the session ends in 15 minutes, then the Django will stop automatically in 15 minutes. You can use this end indentation. And then messages, is more about the hardware, and static files. So we will learn also what is one later in the JavaScript. So migrations are very powerful and let you change your model over time as you develop your project without the need to delete your database or tables and make new one. Whenever you have already your model, if you want to update it, then you can just do the make migration and migrate. So for now, remember the 3-step guide to making model changes. The first is, if you have the changes in your model.py, you can change it. And then make migration and migrate. Okay, so this tree is the way you want to update the model. So some more explanation about the data. The data that you saw before, it was from the SQLite tree. Table names automatically generated by combining the name and the app name. you will see that when we define the models, we create two classes, question and choice. But what is the table name? The table name is FAQ choice, FAQ questions. It means it follows the app name. Because the app is FAQ, then the table will be also FAQ underbar subject line. Primary keys ID are added automatically. So as I mentioned to you, when you open a question, so you have the ID. It is automatically. By convention, Django appends ID to the foreign key field name. So if you open choice, you can see that we have the underbar ID. What is underbar ID here? This is question. Underbar ID is the ID from the table question. So this is the foreign key to connect to the question table. You can see that it is different. This is ID, but this one is question underbar ID. But actually they are connected. We can override. It means we can put our own ID. So you can make ID in the database by yourself, but let's just use the automatic function from Django. And some foreign key constraints. Actually, there will be a lot of function for the foreign key constraint. Different databases have different field types for primary key automatic generator. For example, in MySQL, you will use auto increment, the same with the SQLite. In the Postgre, they don't use the auto increment, but they use the serial. So there's another data type, we call it serial. And SQLite, so SQLite, it uses integer primary key auto increment. So the next section, actually, I want to explain the SQL migrate. But actually, the SQL migrate command does not actually run the migration on your database. It just print it to the screen so you can see what the SQL Django thinks is required. So different databases may have different ways to query the data. If you look at this slide, so from the slide 36 until 40, I make it height. So I just found out that the make migration now in Django can do the SQL migrate. So I will skip the SQL migrate. I'm not sure if I skip this one, it will make errors or not. But let me just skip and let's look. If there's an error, then we will go back to this one. Now, how can we access the data? Maybe it is convenient to open the database using the table. So you can see this table, it is convenient. But when you want to access the data from the table and you want to show to HTML, it is impossible to connect to the database like this one. So we need to find a way how to access the data. And the common way to access the data is using the structured query language or SQL. In the Django framework, there are two ways to access the data. First, we can use the Python shell. It means the keyword will be in Python. And you can access the data with the Python command. Or you can use the structured query language. The structured query language means something like select. So, you know the query SQL? Select star from question. It means I want to select all the table from the question table. I want to select all columns from the question table. This is the SQL. Of course, this is good, but if we use the Python shell, it uses the Python code to access the data. And it can be used in the view and template. So you can still use the views.py, and then you can use the urls.py to connect to the XML. If you use the structured query language or the SQL, you need to comply with the SQL language in accordance to the database tool. So if it is SQLite, of course you need to use the SQLite SQL. If you use PostgreSQL, you need to use the PostgreSQL language. Of course, this can also be used in the view and need to be translated to the template. So for example, if you want to do the query with the SQL, you can go to this part, query console. There's a new query console. So let's say I want to select start from question. Now you can see that the table name is not question. Even though you make the class name is question, it will create the table name with FAQ, which is the name. So if you run this, then you can see the data. So this is the SQL. Now we are going to use shell. Shell in the PyCharm, we can access it. So you can just execute this one. Run the minutes.py test. So whenever you do with the migration, you always type like Python minutes.py make migration. So you to type like this one is too long, but actually we can reduce it. So we don't need to do it this one. You can just skip this one. How? We can run the minutes.py. You can go to tools, and then you can see here there is an option run minutes.py. When you click this run minutes.py, you will see this command prompt. So this command prompt means this is the Python minutes.py. So you can just omit this one and then just type, for example, I want to make migration. Okay. Make migration. Then yeah, it can give you the suggestion what is the app name. If you want to do everything, okay, just make migration, then it will do the make migration for all of your apps. If you want to migrate, then we will do the migrate automatically. So you don't need to put the Python manage.py every time. Now in the manage.py, let's make the shell. Okay. So I want to create the data access using shell. Let's type shell. So shell is running in a separate window. It means you can go to the shell, and the shell is located in the Python console. Because it is based on the Python, okay, it is in the Python console. So this is the Python console. Now let's try. Let's try for the starter. So the starter is, yeah, you can try to follow with this statement. From FAQ.models, import question and choice. Okay, so do not confuse. Maybe you will have confused because the table name is FAQ_question, and we still call question. So that's, yeah, something that you need to understand. When you go to the DB or using the SQLite, you will access the table name FAQ_question. But if you use the Python, you will use the original class name, which is question. But actually, they are accessing the same data. So I can just, okay, run this one. Now I would like to know the data in the question. So I can use this one, question.objects.auth. Question.objects.auth. Now we can see that, okay, in the table question, there is one object. Let's do the second. Choice objects.auth. So in this case, I can see that, okay, in the choice, there is one object. We are going to learn about CRUD. CRUD. What is CRUD? C means create, R means read, U means update, and D means delete. We sometimes call it CRUD. CRUD are basic functions in any computer program. So the acronym CRUD refers to all the major functions that are implemented in the relational DB. Each of the latter can map to a standard SQL. It also can be in the HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or in the data distribution services. For example, if you want to create data, or if you want to create something in the SQL, yeah, you can do with insert. So for the HTTP, we can use put or push. If it is about the data distribution, we will write. In order to read, in the SQL, we will use select. But for the HTTP, we will use get, and for the DDS, we will use read or take. If you want to update, we can use update in the SQL, but in the HTTP, we can use put or push or hex. For the DDS, we will use write. For the deletion, destroy, we use delete. In the SQL, we use delete also in the HTTP, and we use dispose in the PTS. So this is the basic comment in the. So if you want to learn more packages about the CRUD, yeah, you can go to this Django package. I will just use the basic CRUD using the models provided in Django. And for our convenience, so the result is not well represented. It means when you see this data, the data is question object number 1, question object number 2 if you have the second data, question object number 3 if you have the third data. For making a better representation, we can make str method in order to show what is the title or what is the text of the data. Let's go to the model. Okay, now so everything is running in this computer. It means this is the server. Now let's modify the models. How to modify? I'm adding 2 more functions. Okay, so this is the original code. This is also the original. And then let's add this one. Import the time. And then there are 2 additional functions. str and was published recently. This will be after the update. So we have the class question, and whenever we call this class, the object will be changed only to the object name. For example, if our data is 1, then object 1. If the data is 2, then there will be object 1 and object 2. But I do not want to use that one. If I call the object 1, I want to show it the question text. So that's the meaning by the str. And there is one function was published recently. So we have the self update. It means this is the data. And I want to check whether the publication date is higher than equal to the time zone now minus date time delta this equal to 1. So it means I want to know whether the publication date is already more than 1 day. The next in the choice, okay. So this is your previous code. So I'm just adding one line, one more function. So whenever I call the object of choice, I will not see only object number 1, but yeah, I want to see the choice, the name of the object, which is the choice text is the answer. After you do this one, make migration, migrate, don't forget, because we just update the models. So we need to do the migrations. So you can go to the tools, manage.py. In the manage.py, we can do again make migration. Yeah, we can call also the name if you want to specify into the name. And then migrate. Thank you. If you want to everything, just do it on. Okay. And then let's try to do one more time with the SQL. So I need to rerun again the shell. Okay, so I can go to shell. Now I need to get again the models. FAQ.models, import question and choice. Okay, and let's see. Can I open the question? Oh. Why is still object one? Actually, this object should be already with the name, not object one. Okay, let me continue first. If there's something wrong, let me know. So I'm going to use the time zone in the shell. Okay. From Django.utils import time zone. Now I would like to make a new object Q. The object Q is an instance from the class question. And then in the questions, we have two data. First data is the question text. And the second data is publication date. Text, the question text is what's new. And let the publication date is not. So I would like to make one new object Q. So in the back end, whenever we want to create a new object, we need to make the object based on the class name. After we create the class, the object, and then I would like to save this object Q. Okay. So the save means, it will be saved into the database. Now let's see. In the database questions. Now there are two data. Okay. Because you just save it, so it is created in the database. Now I would like to check the ID. Q.id. So the ID is 2, okay? Because it is just generated, so the ID 2. And then I want to know the question text. Q.question text. So I can just call the data what's new. And I want to know the publication date. So the publication date is using the date time format. Okay, so this is the date time from the Python. Now I want to change the text. Not what's new, but what's up. Then you can just do Q.question text equals to what's up. So if you change this one, let me refresh the data. Nothing happened. Okay. the data still what's new. Actually, you just change the object as the WhatsApp. Don't forget that every time you make some changes with the shell, you need to save it. So you need to q.save. When you save, if you refresh again, now the data has been updated with the new one. So the back end, yeah, should run like this one. Now, if I want to see the object for all, right, it should be changed. It should show the what's where is neighbor and what's up. I don't know what is happening. Okay, let me just continue first. Okay. So yeah, this is how to add and modify the data. It means we are dealing with the C. You know the CRUD. So we are dealing with the C. So we create a new data and save it. And we are going to update it. So this is the update. So for the data reading, okay, we need to call again the question choice and then the time zone. Actually, you can also do like this one. You can use the class name question, but obviously we just have the question and then define the name of the attribute. Instead of using that one, we can use the object creation. So it is the same. Now I'm creating a new data. The object creation means I want to create a new object with the question text is this one and the publication date is now. If you refresh, nothing happened because you are not saving it. Okay. So you need to save it q2.save. Then you will see. So let's look now. How many objects do we have? Yeah, we have 3 objects. Okay, so we have 3 data for question. So in order to read the data, there are 2 ways to read the data. The first is filter and the other is scan. Now let's look at the filter. What is filter? I want to filter the ID by 1. So I would like to check the ID 1. So the ID 1 is this one. If I want to know the PK, so what is PK? As I mentioned to you, primary key. You can use ID or you can use PK. Okay, so you will see the ID number. Now I would like to find the object where the text start with what? In this case, I want to filter the data where the word question text is starting with what? So dash, underbar 2 means this is the separator between the column name and the statement for the filtering. So the statement for the filtering, there are many, not only starts with, so later we can see. So let's see, if I want to filter only the data when the data starts with what? So it is the object number 2 and object number 3. Okay, you can see what's up, what's your favorite tab. Meanwhile, the data number 1, object number 1 is using where. Now I want to see the values. Okay, let's see. So, question objects filter, question underbar text contain head. So I want to know if the objects contain the word head or not. What is the difference between starts with and contain? If it is starts with, then yeah, it should be start with the same keyword. But contain, this one can be anywhere in the text. So if we look at the name head, yeah, there are two, object 2 and object 3. Now I want to know the value. Okay, so I want to know if I check the question text that contain what, so I want to know the values. Then you can see the query set ID is 2, the question text is what's up, and the publication date is this one. And let's say I just want to see the value of the ID and the question text. So I do not want to see the publication date. Then you can specify this one. Values, ID, and questions. Then what I can show you is only the ID and the question text. ID and question text. Meanwhile, the data has ID, question text, and publication date. And I want to find out the ID where the ID is in 1,3. So you can use the Python command. If you learn about the list, you can see this one is the command in list. So ID, what I want to look at this one is the ID number 1 and ID number 3. Then ID object number 1 and ID object number 3 will be shown up. The ID number 2 is not shown up because I filtered it with only these two values. Now, let's have another statement with get. I have question objects dot get. I can get the object number 2. Oh, so it is the same with filter. We can also use question dot objects dot filter pk equals to 3. Okay, let's check this it through. So if I want to make the object pk equals 1, okay, we can see the object number 1. Now, can I get objects where the question starts with what? I want to get the questions where the question text starts with what? Oops. Why? Let's look at the error message. FAQ models question multiple object written. Get written more than one question. It written two. Then you can understand if you use get, the data will be written only one object. So if the data has more than one, it will be error. So the data should be only one in order to run the code correctly. We can use get for like this one. I want to specify this object into the variable q. Of course, the variable q should have only one object, should have only one thing, because it is one variable. Then you can use get for this case. So I want to check what is q. Now I would like to check was published recently. So it is a method, and let's see. I think this is the reason. So I think the data has not been, the model has not been updated. We already have this one. This one, the object has no attribute. So is this error message also in your computer? Yeah. Should I already? Okay, let me look again. One more time. Let me just stop first. Let's see. Let me run. Let me go to the tools. Make migration. No change detected. Okay, let me check with the SQL migrate.
So these results should be linked. True.
Yeah,
My case. Error.
the error doesn't come up. Oh,
This is bang.
oh, okay. I'm not sure. Let's see. Yeah, the answer will be true or false, because the statement here is whether the publication date is higher than equal to the now minus 1. So the result will be Boolean. Okay, this is something that I need to make it clear later. Okay, so the concept of get and filter, we use get to only read one data. If we find more than one data, it will show error. We use filter to read all the data that satisfy the condition. So when it finds more than one data, it shows all the data. Now, let's do this one before we finish the class. So let's make the queue. So Q is the object with the primary key equals to 1. Now I would like to see all the answer from the Q. It means I know the Q is an object and Q is an object from PK number 1. And I want to go to the choice set and then I want to see all the answers. Okay, all the answers for the question number 1 has only one object. Now let's say I want to create. So I want to create a new object. Let's say the choice text is not much, put 0, and I'm making a new link because the link should be unique. Okay, so I put SPPS here to distinguish with the previous values. This object will be created according to the Q. So what is Q? Q is an object from the primary key number 1. It means this answer will be connected to the primary key number 1. Now we have the choice number 2. Let's have another. That's just another. I have another object Q. So someone give the answer. I do not know. And it will also give the answer to the PK1. So there are 3 objects. And then I create the 4th one. So just hacking again. And let's just give the www.naver.com. Okay. So C is a new object created from the Q. So I create a new variable C. Now, if I want to see the C, what is C? What is the question of C? So it is the question in the object one. Now let me check. If I want to do the choice set, I want to see all the answers. So now we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so we already created 4 answers. However, if you look at this one, okay, then everything has been added into the database. I want to know how many of them. So I want to count. Then the result is 4. We can do some more choices. For example, I want to check the value list of the choices. So all the values will be in the list. So this is the first list. And then this is the second. This is the third. And this is the fourth. You can use similarly to SQL. For example, order by. Ordered by. I want to make it the order based on the choice text. Okay, if you look at this option, E and I, J. So the first will be I do not know. And then J, just hacking again. And then next is not much. And then E. So the answer will be following the letters from this choice text. So ordered by, we want to sort by some kind of values. Maybe this is from the choice text. If you want to order by based on the code or based on other things, yeah, you can specify the name. Now let me just make C equals to ID for. C is the object from the choice where the ID equals to 4. So I want to know if C, what is the fourth? The fourth is 0. Now let me update. Fourth equal to 5. Okay, C fourth equal to 5. And then after I update it, please don't forget to save it. So after you look at that one, now I want to check the ID. I want to check the ID form and what is the value of the foot. Then it is 5. Okay, because I just update 5 and then I save it and I want to know again, and the ID is for the number of foots is already 5. If I want to check the choices and I want to order by minus foot, what is minus? It is descending, okay, from the bigger value to the smaller value. So the bigger value is ID number 4, okay, because we just update the foot is 5, and the next just follow the order 1, 2, 3. So I want to order by the choice text and the foot. What does it mean? I have two options to sort the value. Let's say if the choice texts are the same, then let's use the second attribute. So you can put more. You can put other attribute if you want. Okay. So let's see just 2. So the first, they will make the order based on the choice text. So the choice text is I, and then J, and then N. Okay, because there is no similar choice text, then it just go like this one. I want to filter. I want to filter the votes equals to 0. So it means there will be some data that has votes equal to 0. And then let us order by the choice text. So it means you can combine the query with several chains. So the first chain is filter and the next chain is ordered by. So this one is only food equals to 0, and the object is 3, 2, and 1. The object number 4 is not green. Okay, because the object number 4, we have food equals to 1. So let me finish until this one. So choice objects get ID number 3. The choice objects get ID number 3 means I want to get the objects number 3. And then let me make an object S. So the object S is the choice with ID equals to 3. So let's say, yeah, I do not want, people say I do not know. So I want to delete it. And let me make a new object S, and then I want to delete it from the database. So just delete. So this one is to inform you that one object has been deleted, and it is related to the object question number 1. So if you look at the choices, now we have 1, 2, and 4. So you can refresh. Now the data becomes 1, 2, and 4 only. Okay. For the next, okay, let me explain again next week. Okay.